blog. So hi, we're recording now. My name is David Preston. I teach American literature at Santa Maria High School, and this is our first day of a most unusual school year. Every year when my students come in, I talk about doing things a little bit differently. And what I'd like to do is walk you through a blog post that will share a little bit more about that. You don't have a whole lot of choice in school. And a lot of you, I mean, when you think about it, you're in 11th grade. That means that you have been at this for an awfully long time. Anybody in any company who's been at it for 11 or 12 years is considered a veteran. You've seen it all. How many first day presentations have you had from pretty well-meaning, enthusiastic teachers, all of whom say something similar? Here are the classroom rules. Here's the syllabus. Here's what we expect. Here's how to do the assignments. Stop chewing your gum. For God's sake, get off your phone. In my classroom, things work differently. First of all, I recognize the fact that there's a difference in power between teacher and student. And freedom isn't something that you can give somebody else. Freedom is something that you have to take. So knowing that, and with the idea that we are not used to having freedom, what I usually do on the first day of class is I show people what I've developed and how I used to teach at UCLA, which is, by the way, why my name is Dr. Preston. I have a PhD from UCLA and I taught there for 11 years. But I like to think of this in a different way. And then what I'd really like is for you to participate in the decision. Normally on the first day, I actually give a presentation and then I walk out of the room so that students can decide for yourselves how you want the course to go. Because let's face it, even when we're on campus, the law only says you have to be there from the neck down. What you think about when you're in class, well, that's entirely up to you. So let's go through this a little bit. I've created an approach to learning in which students use 2.0 tools to create their online identities, express themselves, and show the public what they can do. I call the model open source learning, and I define it with a mouthful. A guided learning process that combines timeless best practices with today's tools in a way that empowers learners to create interdisciplinary paths of inquiry, communities of interest and critique, and a portfolio of knowledge capital that's directly transferable to the marketplace. And by now you're thinking, what the heck is he talking about? Well, let me give you an example. This is from last year. That's me when I was 5. So last year, if you notice on your current blog, I have a space for this just in case things go well and you decide to do this. Our member blogs page is pretty empty. These are all of your names. Sorry, this is the wrong page, but this is a similar idea. But this is last year's, where you can see every single student has their own website. Some of them are designed and tricked out with graphics and images. Some are pretty plain. Some have all sorts of things going on. But the key is that you actually get to create your own site, your own stuff. And why is that important? Because you get to demonstrate the value of what you're learning for yourself. In fact, the picture on our blog, and actually, you know what? This is American Lit. Let me get us over to your blog, which has the same exact picture on it. I took this picture out of the back seat of an airplane. And you think, okay, well, that's not too unusual, except, and you can see this on the blog, it says about the picture on this blog. The remarkable thing about the plane was that it was being flown by a student of mine, a high school student of mine, who decided one day, as he put it on his blog, what did he say? High school is a waste of time. And I thought, wow, that's a horrible way to go through school. I mean, if I really thought this was all a waste of time, how would that be for me? I wouldn't want to do my best work either. So we thought about what it would take for him to do his best work. And for Matt, he really wanted to fly. And there's not a whole lot of opportunity to learn how to fly in high school. So we connected him with a pilot. I'll show you Ed somewhere up here. Here's Ed. And Matt learned how to fly a plane. which scared the hell out of me because he invited me to fly with him about 3 months after that conversation took place. But man, look at the reward. I was never so scared in my life. And that's kind of the way it is for a lot of people right now, because they're not used to this wide open space that we've got in front of us. But I've been doing open source learning for over 10 years. And by open source learning, what I basically mean is we think about what's valuable. We use the course curriculum to explore that. You share it in a way that you can be proud of to anybody who cares, whether that's a parent, a scholarship judge, a college admissions officer, a prospective employer, or no one. You can keep it to yourself. But then the real value of this is that you learn more about how you learn best. And that's really what I'm in this business for in the first place. So to keep going here, I'd like to show you a quick video. This was done by students.
The vast majority of behavior problems in the classroom involve minor breaches of discipline. These incidents frequently originate in the classroom situation itself and are within the control of the teacher. Disciplinary problems in the classroom are symptoms of underlying weaknesses in total learning situations.
Did you ever doubt yourself at any point?
I doubt myself all the time.
I'm Superman.
don't tell anybody this secret because school's not supposed to be nearly that fun. But, and by the way, if you noticed, I'm not sure if any of you have had Mr. Hoffman as a substitute teacher, but that was him in my class in 2013 at Rigetti. What's interesting to me about learning is that it's active. People do stuff. And if you noticed, everything that people were doing in that video are things that we can do online. In fact, last week I had a conversation with one of the world's leading experts by the name of Howard Rheingold, who is one of the people who knows more about the internet than just about anybody else. And I have another site where I'm teaching teachers about how to do things online. This is a guy who's taught at Berkeley and Stanford, and we're learning from him. This Friday, I'll be doing a Zoom webinar with a Harvard professor who focuses on language acquisition and Spanish as a heritage language. She got her PhD in Mexico, and how we can use the opportunity of learning at home. So I want you to know that for my part, I'm always interested in learning, but that's not necessarily what happens in school when we're on campus. When we're on campus, a lot of people kind of shuffle around like zombies and have to sit still in class. But when you're sitting still in a classroom, it's be quiet, keep your eyes on your own paper, do your own work. And by the time you graduate and you get out into the work world, people are wondering, hey, why can't you be a better communicator? Why can't you be a better team player? So in one sense, this kind of broke the traditional model. A lot of people, you know, I used to get interviewed in the media and a lot of people would ask me, hey, are you worried about getting fired? Because people don't do this kind of thing. And by the way, I realized, don't use that first link if you're relying on my links, because I sent you the actual blog for American literature and this is world literature. So use this one. And I'll come back to my point. I doubt you have a whole lot of experience with this, but has anybody heard of TED, the TED conference? I'm probably the only teacher you know who's given a TED talk. And I can't stand watching myself, so I'll just show you a snippet and then you can find it online if you want. Oh, great. It's a horrible compliment.
These new Geico savings?
Huh?
You
I
got
was
an
gonna
extra
say-
15% on.
It's a horrible compliment when your video is popular enough that they put a damn commercial in front of it. Oops, I said damn in a recording. Now you can bust me. Here, let's see about this now.
Click. See the big picture.
What a wonderful moment for learning. Not just because I've had a fan crush on TED for the last few years, and this is an amazing event with all the ideas and speakers we've had so far, but also what a time to be alive and thinking about learning. Traditionally, learning was seen as what happened between our own two ears. And I'm not so sure that's where learning ends. We're talking about social learning now. We're talking about technology-mediated learning. I find myself wondering what's going through all those heads right now.
Now, a lot of people might be uncomfortable. I'm sitting in a room. This is my bookcase at home, but it's actually not my bookcase at home. It's a green screen. And I'm looking at a bunch of blank screens. It's almost weirder than being in a classroom and looking at blank faces. But when you look at me on the screen and you think about, wow, you see that green exit sign off in the distance? There were about 2,000 people in that room. And I am fascinated by the fact that all of us right now are thinking, and we're all thinking about different stuff. Half of you are thinking about things that aren't even related to what I'm talking about. And it's fascinating to me to imagine what we could do if we could share all of that. If people were having cross conversations, if you were curating on your blogs as we were going along. So I'm going to pause on this because, you know, if we were in class and together, I'd be saying something like, does anybody have any questions? Or I'd be trying to read your facial expressions. And I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this moment so that I can post about it on our blog so that you can essentially see what I see. Because I'm looking at my face in one block, and then I'm looking at a lot of black screens with names on them. And you just heard my camera go. So I'm going to export that and then I'll come back. I'm looking at the chat. Does anybody have any questions at this point so far? Okay, this is that moment of quiet. Let's get to how this is going to work and what we're going to do next. One thing that I did, and I'm going to copy a link to this so that we have it, and I'm going to put this in the chat. This is to a spreadsheet, and I'm going to show you what this goes to. Oh, actually, this is a fun way. Here, now you can see what I was just talking about. This is the blank screen I was telling you about. This spreadsheet is our period 2 class. And I'm going to ask you to contribute because you're the only one who knows whether or not this is making sense to you or whether or not you're paying attention. So it's one thing to count attendance. I'll know from the Zoom call what username showed up, but I really have no idea if you attended. To attend means to pay attention. So now you have the link to this and you're on the honor system. You know, I trust you. I'll trust you right up until the time you prove that I can't. And I hope that time never comes. So when you go on this for August 17th Zoom, you can say here, or yeah, I did it, or I crushed that, or that was so great, or you know what, Dr. Preston, I didn't understand a single thing you were talking about. That's real attendance. And that's something that we were never able to do before. So one thing I'm going to ask you to do is to keep this link, and when you see a column, to complete with the information, whether or not you did what I was asking you to do. And asking is a really important word. I'm never going to force you to do anything. How could I possibly force you at this point, even in a classroom? And why would I? If I force someone to do a homework assignment, you know how it goes. If you're in a hurry, you're going to take a shortcut anyway. Much better if I make a request because I have a reason. And nice, I already see this is the beautiful thing. I can see the users who are on here, Penguin, Cat, Loris. But the things that I do request, I will put in a column here. So let's talk about what I'm requesting for today. And this will take us through today, and then I'm going to give you some next steps for the rest of the day that will set us up for the rest of the week. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to read the rest of that post. Will this blog see tomorrow? So let's go back over here so that I can make sure we all know what I'm talking about. And it's right here. So this will this blog see tomorrow post. Now, I can imagine some of you saying, well, Dr. Preston, do I have to read everything on this blog? And the smart ass part of me says, no, I put it there because I didn't want you to read it. Yeah, I'd like you to read everything on the blog. Whether it's Zoom invitations. I mean, I'm not going to put anything here that's just busy stuff. I don't believe in posting things just for the sake of posting them, but I do believe in posting things that will help you. For example, setting up your meetings with me. Some of you have already. If you haven't, please click here, which will take you right to my Calendly calendar, and you can just click on a date and time and set it up. Now, these are designed to be 15-minute check-ins. We may not even take the whole 15 minutes. It may just be, 3 minutes. But I would like to see your smiling face. I will not record that meeting. I would like to at least say hello and answer any questions that you may not feel comfortable asking in the whole tribe yet. So please do that. Also, your member blogs. I'd like you to read this post, and I'd like you to create your own blog. You saw that people were creating them fairly easily. This will walk you through step by step, and it also tells you my reasons why. At every step of the way, I will do my very best to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, because over time, you're going to take more and more control over your learning. So this is designed to give you an idea about how we form a network. Now, if you notice, I call the member blogs page member blogs, and I call this a network instead of a class. Well, that's because in a traditional class, the teacher's supposed to be the expert and the sergeant at arms. In our style of learning, in open source learning, all of us learn from all of us. And some of us go outside this immediate network to find other people. Matt, for example, the pilot, needed to find a great pilot. So he looked outside the network and said, hey, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right things? That mentorship, that support, that critique gave him an additional advantage. And if you're not sure where that might lead you yet, hey, we're in day one. We'll get there. But that's where the blogs become important. So here's how to do it. Go to blogger.com, click on the buttons. All the step-by-step is right here, and so am I. You all have my off-campus email now. And let me make sure that I put that in the chat as well, just in case. I check my on-campus email fairly often, but my off-campus email, which the auto control doesn't like, is the one that I check most frequently. This chat is fussy. So use dpreston.learning@gmail.com. I know in the first few weeks it's a little crazy for everyone, and I'm sure you're being bombarded with stuff. So you may go through this and realize that you have a question. Send me an email. If I'm awake and not in 3 Zooms at once, I'll reply within an hour. The rest of the step-by-step is all here. It should be fairly easy. And I'm going to know because, oh, look, right here is my email again, because the final step of that process is to copy paste your URL and email it to me at that address. And if you notice, that's where your course blog and email also comes in. Go back to the spreadsheet and say you did it. So we talked about commenting to the post. Let's go back here, and I want to show you something really quickly. When you look at any of my course blogs from the past, I mean, this one has nearly 250,000 page views. What high school English class that's that kind of traffic? Well, it's the kind that actually engages people in conversations. When you post a comment, and this is a previous example, I think. I'll just go to last year's. Okay, so when I look at last year's post, this is the same post that you saw. I make modifications every year, but this is what the students saw last year. And you see that students had a choice between textbook learning and this. And I walked out of the room and let them decide. And then this is what they said. So since we didn't quite have the same kind of experience, here's what I'm requesting. I would love to know your first impression. After you've had a chance to digest this a little bit, after you've had a chance to kind of make it through your day and compare with whatever else is going on in your classes, after you have a chance to look at the blog a little bit more and spend a little bit of time with it, I'd like your first impression. That's it. There's no right or wrong answer. It can be short. Some of these are one sentence. But it's important to me for a couple of reasons. First, I'd love to know what you're thinking. I'm the only one talking right now. Terrifically uncomfortable. I'd love to know how it is for you. The second thing is, I'd also like to see how you write. And the third thing is, I'd like to know that it's just not me being here by myself. I'd like to know that we're actually going to function as a network. Because as we go on, I don't care if you're into cars, I don't care if you're into Fortnite, I don't care if you're into astrophysics. Some of our students have these amazing talents and gifts and interests. And as we go along, the more I learn about what you're thinking and how you're thinking it, the more I'll be able to tailor this experience into something that doesn't specifically suck. Because we're not a one-size-fits-all tribe here. I really want to make it clear as much as I possibly can. I mean, let me just call it out. I do this in the classroom. I may as well do it online. I'm a middle-aged white guy. I'm the only one like me in this class. I don't know what it's like to grow up as a 15, 16, 17-year-old in 2020 Santa Maria in the middle of a freaking pandemic. So I really want to learn from you. I care about you. The more I understand what your experience is really like and how you're thinking about this course going, the better I'll be able to create the kinds of experiences that I hope you'll actually find valuable. So ordinarily, this is where I depend on all that nonverbal communication around the room. I hope this is sinking in, but that's the thinking behind asking you to comment on the course blog. And then the last thing for today I want to key on is the survey. I'm going to go back to the course blog and put that up on the screen. On the homepage of the course blog, oh, and by the way, there's a couple features you should know about. We'll talk about Creative Commons licensing on a different day, but you might as well follow the course blog by email. That way, every single time I put up a new post, you'll get it in your email, and you don't have to check back on the course blog 100 times a day because you fear of missing something. I think somebody's already got it. Nice. Oh, frozen waffles reminds me of something. Frozen waffles is also funny. If you have an email address that you use off campus that you would rather me contact you at, because the only reason I'm going to contact you is that there's something coming up that you need to know about. And not all of us, like me, I check my Gmail more often than I check my school email. But if you're using an off-campus email like Fluffy Bunny 2000 or Radass Skateboarder, whatever, you might consider a professional email address. It doesn't have to be randomized numbers, but your first initial last name, or something that isn't 8th grade worthy, if you take my meaning. So the questions that I ask here are your name, the best email address to reach you, and again, I just want to make sure that you get the information you need. Occasionally I use SMS and text features for special offers and to let students know about upcoming events. So I might put in, if we do decide to do something that's more like a game, I might put in Easter eggs or clues or something, and you might find this learning experience on different channels in your life. Also, if there's something coming up on short notice, for example, I'm working with a heavyweight champion Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter, former mixed martial art champion, and he might come online with us. But I'm not going to have a whole lot of notice when his schedule permits. I might text instead of email because I know that it'll get there faster. So just let me know what the best number is for you. Why are you enrolled in this course? It might just be for graduation credit, or you might not have a choice. That's fine. There's no right or wrong answer to this. But if you have a special interest, I'm curious if it's, you want to go to college, or if you want to just get out of high school, or if this class was interesting and you had a choice, I'm curious. What do you want to accomplish in the course? Please describe at least one skill you want to improve, or something that you'd like to read or write or do, or a goal that you want to set for yourself. We're going to talk about goals a little bit more. Goals are important, not because I want to give more homework, but just because if you have a why, the how becomes a whole lot less painful. If I know why I'm doing this, it gets easier. And then this one. Please describe something eccentric, look that word up if you need to, about yourself. This shouldn't be embarrassing or scandalous, just something that's interesting and unique about you that others may not know. A fun fact about your family, pets, travels, hobbies, likes, dislikes, or fears, or whatever you'd like to share. Past answers have included things like, I have a fear of elbows, or I have never flown on an airplane, or I arrange my shirts by color, or I don't like different kinds of foods to touch each other on my plate. Swear to God, those are all real answers I've gotten. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a treasure hunt for you online. You are going to go through each other's blogs by the end of this week, because they all will have been created by the end of this week. And you're going to get to know each other just a little bit by asking each other the questions that will lead you to the answers. Now, the fun part is you're going to create shortcuts and game this in ways I can't even predict. Somebody's going to figure out a lot more about how to do this faster. Is there a prize for this? Absolutely. Is it going to be worth money? Yeah, because I'm not above bribery and that's more fun. So please make sure that you get the survey done. That is the survey. So, were you on the August Zoom or the August 17th Zoom? Did you comment to Will This Blog See Tomorrow? Did you complete the survey? Did you complete your course blog and email me the URL so that I can include it? There are a couple other things I'd like to mention before we let each other go, because we're getting to 10:10. On the member blogs, I did list all of your names, but I also listed them as they appear in Aries. And I know that some of you may go by one of your last names, but not the other. I know that some of you may have nicknames or shortened versions of your name. I want to know you the way that you want to be known. So this was my best guess based on what I saw on the computer roster. But when you check this out, will you please let me know in that email if there's a better way that you'd like me to make sure that your name appears here and that you'd like me to address you? Because I think that our name is a key part of our identity and it's a sign of respect. And I want to start off with a note of respect for you. So take a look at that and let me know. And then lastly, as we go on, here's how the days will look. Oh, I also posted a note about Zoom etiquette, Zoom etiquette, I named it. But I'm curious about your comments to that too. I'm gonna add that actually. On a typical day, if we were to come into the classroom, you would walk in, you'd open your journal, which would be a notebook that you'd have, and you'd write. And today the topic would be Hunter S. Thompson observed, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. How do you respond to challenges that arise from circumstances you didn't predict? Obviously, I'm asking that with the pandemic and the school year in mind. We would take about 5-10 minutes. People would let me know when they're ready to move on, and then we would get into the day's agenda. Now, I'm going to leave this up. This is today's traditional agenda. And what we're going to do as the days go on, every single day, you will see a new agenda. I'm really on the fence about how to do the journals this year, because when I write, when we all write, it uses a different part of our brain than we use when we type on a keyboard and look at a screen. Also, writing in a journal gives us the opportunity to write from our heart, to write without a filter, even to write, whether it's just foul language or emotions that we wouldn't necessarily want to be on the internet for everyone to look at. So there's a piece of me that really wants to continue. And because I really want to operate from a place of trust, what I'm thinking is maybe there's a way to do this that we still have. And the other benefit is that when you're done with the year, you've actually created an entire notebook from the year. So I'm still thinking about how to do that. And also to get you the feedback that you want and need when you want to share something with me. So I'm still kind of thinking about how to do that, but I do want you somewhere to write this, and then we'll figure out what to do with it later. The other thing that I mentioned in this agenda is, to be an open source learning network or not to be. This year, because we're online, our choices are limited. That's you and me. But I am curious about what you think. So that's why I'm asking for that reply to the post. Will this blog see tomorrow? And then you can read the rest and take a look at the poem. And I'll probably duplicate parts of this agenda for tomorrow, because I know that you're getting a lot of information just from me, and I can only imagine what it's like to have 5 or 6 or 7 teachers doing this at once. So I'm going to stop the share and come back to you. And at this point, I do want to take a look at the chat, and I want to pause for a moment and ask, does anybody have any questions? Is there anything that I can answer in these last few minutes for you? And JCL, I got to ask, is that a Dodgers hat or is that something different?
Dodgers.
Right on. Thank God. I'm a Dodgers fan too. You believe Mookie?
What happened?
I said, can you believe Mookie?
Nope.
3 home runs a game?
I saw that. I was there.
You were at that? What?
No, I'm playing. I wasn't.
I didn't think anybody was at the game. I totally fell for it, though. I wanted to be. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, please make sure that you sign up for your individual check-in. Please have a look at the blog and make sure that you're taking care of things. If you run into challenges, if anything's difficult or if you have questions, all you have to do is send me an email and we'll figure it out together. I know this is going to be an interesting week and an interesting ride, so I'm here for you. And if there's nothing else, I'll give this a second in case, then we're going to sign off because it's just about 10:10. So is everybody good? For all those times a teacher said it's like talking to a wall. Oh, thank you, Maria. And by the way, Maria, thank you also for scheduling the meeting. You're on top of it. Oh, the yeses are coming in. This makes me feel so good. It's like there's people on the other end of this. Yes, yes, yes. Well, this just went from the quietest group to the most accepting group. So I already feel loved up. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. I'll look forward to meeting you on Calendly. I will send out a message on the course blog about tomorrow and what's to come next, and we'll figure it out from there. Have a good day, everybody.